Time is frustrating. We never seem to have enough of it, and yet somehow we waste so much of it. Some days feel like they're racing past us, others drag like they never end. And in between, we're expected to do the impossible. Be productive, yet take time off. Chase our goals, but enjoy the breaks. Live like we're running out of time while pretending like we got all the time in the world. It's exhausting and honestly a little lonely. Which is probably why this quiet and soulful anime hit me so hard. Because in it, time isn't just part of the story, it is the story. Frieren Beyond Journey's End doesn't start with a big conflict. The hero's journey is already over. What's left is the happily ever after, the part that no one tells stories about. In the center of it is Frieren, a mage who lives for centuries, and Fern, a young girl who's just beginning to live. They walk the same path, but they carry time completely differently. Fern is always trying to make the most out of her days. She reads, trains, and pushes herself forward, not out of ambition, but out of awareness. She knows her time is limited, because of that, she values it. She values herself. Frieden doesn't live with the same urgency. When you have seen hundreds of years go by, it's easy to let things blur. She moves at a gentle, almost detached pace, not because she doesn't care, but because time doesn't hold meaning for her the way it does for everyone else. You can clearly see this in their early conflicts. When Frieren casually suggests staying in a village for 3 years, Fern is immediately taken back. To her, that's a huge commitment. 3 years is a large chunk of life, but to Frieren, it's nothing. It's a blink, a break between real events. It's a small moment, but it reveals everything. To Fern, time is something to invest carefully. To Frieren, it's not even a factor that exists, it's a part of her. Even the magic in Frieren reflects their difference. Fern learns the spells that are practical and useful, things that serve a purpose. But Frieren is drawn to spells that simply exist purely because someone somewhere cared enough to preserve a moment. A spell to make flowers bloom, to perfectly flip pancakes, to make grapes sour. All for no other reason than comfort. They're not grand or efficient, they're sentimental. Magic isn't just about doing, but it's about remembering. It's about turning fleeting human emotions into something that can last forever. And watching these two characters side by side, it hit me. This isn't just about how they see time, it's about how they see themselves through it. Because time is more than just a clock or a calendar, it's how we measure worth. And Fern, in her own way, believes that her time matters, that her life has some weight, which means she treats every moment like it means something. Frieren doesn't. Not yet. Because when you lived so long that decades feel like days, it's become hard to see what matters to you at all. Nothing is urgent. Nothing feels important. That's what makes Frieren so distant from the world. It's not her immortality, but her disconnect to herself. And honestly, I see myself in both of them. Some days I'm Fern, anxious, overthinking, trying to prove that I can make good use of my time. And some days I'm Frieren, just drifting, feeling like none of this makes a difference anyway. And that middle space, the one where you feel like you're rushing and stagnating at the same time, that's where most of us live. And I don't think that feeling comes from nowhere. We live in a culture that turns time into currency. If you're not using your time to build something, to hustle, to constantly grow, then you're told you're wasting it. Rest isn't rest anymore unless it's productive rest. Even slowing down has to be optimized. And when you finally hit burnout, when your brain is fried from chasing goals or just surviving the week, what's waiting for you? An endless scroll of noise. Overstimulating, hyper-paced content designed to hijack your brain and compromise its sense of time even further. So now, not only are you exhausted, you're ashamed of how you spent your time trying to recover. You feel like you're wasting time when you rest and not doing enough when you work. It's a loop, it's exhausting. That's what makes Frieren almost radical. It doesn't rush, it doesn't overstimulate, it doesn't ask you to go back on track. It invites you to just exist. To watch people cook slowly, walk quietly, grieve without needing to get over it. To just let time pass without feeling the need to conquer it. The show isn't constructed like a typical fantasy. There's no looming villain, no countdown, no mission to save the world. It moves in a way that real time does. Slowly, quietly, sometimes repetitively. You're not watching a plot unfold. You're watching people change in ways that they don't even realize until much later. And in that way, Frieren gently retains your attention, not through a spectacle, but through stillness. And for once, it doesn't feel like you're wasting time by watching something slow. You're feeling it, you're letting it stretch, you're letting it breathe. I didn't realize how much pressure I felt around time until I watched this show. And suddenly, I wasn't thinking about whether I was doing enough. I was thinking about how little I've been feeling lately. It's not just about big emotions, but small ones. Quiet joys, calmness, boredom, and reflection. The kind of feelings that don't fit into a 60-second video or a productivity tracker. And maybe that's why so many people found themselves crying while watching it. Why is it resonating so deeply, even though by most standards nothing happens? It's slow, introspective, quiet in a way that should have bored you, but instead it made people feel seen, because it gave space to the emotions that we usually skip past. What's especially beautiful is how Frieren and Fern's perspectives of time begin to overlap as the series goes by. It doesn't happen suddenly or dramatically. It folds in the background as they keep walking together. Frieren slowly begins to notice the weight of time. She sees it in the wake of Himmel's death, but Fern reinforces it every day by treating time like something that matters. That shift is subtle, but it starts to shape her. She doesn't just observe anymore, she begins to show up, and Fern in turn begins to soften. She doesn't let go of urgency, but she learns to leave space for presence. For moments that aren't demanding, she starts to understand that meaning doesn't always have to come from how long something lasts, but how deeply it was felt. It's not a lesson spelled out in dialogue, it's something you feel watching them live. And by the end, they both carry a little of other within them. Not perfectly, not completely, but just enough to grow. Fern and Frieren both live in a world that doesn't push them to perform. They walk, they eat, they talk, sometimes they cry. And slowly, meaning returns, not through actions but through presence. It's not an escape from the world we live in. It's a reminder that there are other ways possible, that your time doesn't have to be earned, that you're allowed to exist without producing, without scrolling, without rushing. Rushing can make the days blur and waiting can make them ache, but neither guarantees peace. Time passes either way, in movement or pause. And somewhere in between, life is unfolding quietly. It's not as a checklist, not as a performance, just as it is. So maybe the real question isn't what to do next, but what might bring peace.